they're getting a certificate of appreciation and a service pin to wear on their crossing guard vests. If I mix them up, you guys can switch them at home.
It's all right, I gotta be there too, so.
Thank you. You want to just stand up here? We'll get one big group picture. For 10 to 15 years of service, Sharon Morley. For 15 to 20 years of service, Anna Bumstead, Jodine Mann, and Roy Marr. And then for 20-plus years of service, Deb Flory, Carl Riggins, and Fran Morley. That's it.
Get them all in there.
I think we're going to have to scrunch together more. That's not why. Dang, Tina. Just, well, we're not going to go all the way down, because I can't either.
Excellent, very good, thank you. Thanks a lot.
That was quite wonderful. Thank you for all your dedication. And may we have roll call, please?
Moore,
Present?
Dennison,
Here.
Downey,
Here.
Turney,
Here.
Whedon.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're going to do public comments now. Citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss any agenda item. Please use that microphone. Come forward.
Hi, I'm Penny Slocum Correa, and I'm a resident at 111 Main Street, Buchanan. I'm on the DDA, but I am not speaking on the DDA. I'm speaking as a resident. And I don't mean to offend anybody out here, but I got 3 minutes to talk, and I'm going to get it out. Dale, I'm starting with you. Tuesday night's Planning Commission meeting, what you did to Donna Manel is just so unacceptable. I can't even believe to even look at you right now. Somebody with that resume, those credentials and that experience, and you said no because she's new to town? I volunteer a ton in this town, and she's only been here a few years, but I see her all the time either volunteering or she attends benefits, dinners, anything. Helped me plant the flowers at the planters at the corner of Front and Main this spring in the freezing rain. I think you better start thinking about not who the person is, that you might not dislike them or who
Penny,
they're around, but
Penny.
the people's credentials, okay?
You're-
That's what I've said. Two, Pat, you and the DDA, as mayor, you are a disgrace to this community. The letters you write in the paper about the DDA, about Joe Palucci, and believe me, Joe Palucci's had me tell him to keep his mouth shut, fingers off the keyboard, and to calm down. So I'm not showing favoritism. Are wrong. They're lies, and I think the public needs to know the truth, and you all need to start coming to a DDA meeting and see what we tolerate from her. Commissioner Whedon, Commissioner Downey, and Commissioner Dennison, I appreciate you guys. I thank you for all you do. You're stand-up guys. If you don't agree with me, you tell me and we work it out. We don't write letters in the paper and try to discredit someone when they don't do anything wrong to begin with. They're just sticking up for the community. I also want you guys to think and find out different things that we can change in this community to make it right for our community, and not certain cliques or certain people. Because this town is becoming an embarrassment. It's in the paper like we're a bunch of lowlifes. There was a guy in this meeting last Tuesday night at the Planning Commission meeting that was thinking about coming to this town and starting a business. He no longer thinks that after what he's seen. That is wrong. We got a guy downtown that bought a bar just a year ago, talking to a realtor, thinking about selling because of the things going on in this town. We need to start back in this town, everybody, or go away. And I also would like somebody to look into replacing our mayor with one of you three. We need respect in this community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Who's next?
Randall Peart, 312 West Chicago in town. I'd just like to ask the commission if they could explain the Planning Commission's procedure for choosing eligible candidates. They had four volunteers, some of them 2 years in waiting, 1 year waiting, and then recently a couple. And there was a lot of mumbling and discussion amongst the commissioners, but not very obvious to the audience. And then they came up with a choice of probably the least qualified, whereas they had really a choice of the most qualified person in town, who was qualified educationally, also his investment in the city, and his long-time service on other boards and commissions. So I wonder if you could explain what advice you give to the commissioners of the Plan Commission who seem to have trouble getting to the meetings themselves somewhat. There have been several planning and work group meetings where only 1 or 2 guys have showed up. So if you could explain what you'd advise the Planning Commission to use as selection criteria, it would be very helpful to the taxpayers and residents who are hanging on their work. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who wants to come forward?
Kicking the cat, let's just keep kicking the cat. Hello, I'm Dan Bianski, 103 North Detroit, Buchanan, Michigan. Thank you, Penny, for taking me out of the hot seat. I just changed everything I was going to say. The ad hoc committee, I've asked a lot about it. You can't get committee members for the committees you have. And who are you going to put on it? I want to volunteer first and foremost to be one of the first members on the DDA ad hoc committee. And I want to read the mission statement, because all of the things that's been going on said all of a sudden 2 years ago, when Barbara became chairman, the DDA wasn't functioning. Well, when Barbara became chairman, that was the first year that there was a budget that was actually publicly displayed and gone over line by line. And we took a lot of heat. That gentleman right there actually came down and we closed the meeting early because of his bullying. And we preach to our children, we can't bully. We preach in the workplace, you can't bully. You can't even say something that's just usually funny because you're bullying. But there's so much bullying goes on in this city hall, intimidation. Just think about when I was told I couldn't even talk to the people in the city hall. They publicly put a gag order on me. But I want to read this, the mission statement of the DDA. So think about this when you're putting together your ad hoc. You write rules, rules don't matter if they're not followed. They haven't been followed for 20 years. To correct and prevent deterioration in the business district. To encourage historical preservation. To promote the economic growth of the district. And the vision of the Downtown Development Authority is to revitalize and sustain long-term economic stability for downtown businesses and provide an attractive place to shop, live, and work while enhancing the arts, the historical identity of this community. It doesn't say anything about sidewalks, doesn't say anything about parking lots, doesn't say anything about plowing snow, it doesn't say anything about plants. That was, if you repeat a lie often enough, everybody comes to believe it. If it's printed, everybody comes to believe it. The flowers was a discussion. Everybody took it personal because we didn't have the money. Thrill on the Hill takes it personal because we're not donating to it. And I say we in the preference to the DDA. I'm not a member of the DDA because your mayor won't allow me on the DDA. She does everything that she can, and your city manager doesn't want me on the DDA. Why? Because I am what I am who I am, whether you like me or not. I put my teeth into something, I don't let go, and I refuse to let go now. When I was a commissioner, I thought the DDA should be dismembered. But then I started looking into it. The city needs an ambassador. It has an ambassador in the DDA. It doesn't need to be out selling the city. It just needs to take care of the slum we call the city of Buchanan. And it's come a long ways in the last 2 or 3 years, in spite of the people in City Hall, not because of them. Thank you very much. Oh, one last thing. I'd like to know why you have to go into closed session when everything from the attorney for the DDA has been open and public, and the DDA and the public had to wait 8 weeks. I'm going to say this very loosely. For the city, I mean very loosely, the city attorney to come back with something, and then he has to go into
You've
closed session.
expended your 3 minutes. Thank you. Okay, anyone else want to come up and make a comment? Seeing no one, we will move on to the consent calendar. Okay, I understand we have need for an additional item. Item G, approved street closure request, Days Avenue from Front Street to Buchanan District Library parking lot, October 5th, from 2 to 6 p.m. for Pumpkin Jamboree family event. Is there such a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there support?
I will support him.
Okay. Let's have roll call, please, to amend the consent calendar.
Whedon,
Yes.
Turney,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, and let's have a motion to approve the amended consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended consent calendar.
I would
Okay,
support it.
very good. Could we have roll call for that, please?
Turney,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes,
Whedon,
Yes.
motion carries.
very good. Okay, thank you all. Now we're down to reports by departments, committee, and boards, and I'd like to introduce our town physician from Southwestern Medical Clinic in Buchanan, Dr. Audrey Carrier. And you can use that microphone there if you would like to give us
Do I speak towards you or towards?
towards us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Audrey Carrier, as some of you may know. I came to Buchanan, the Southwestern Medical Clinic, just over a year ago. In that time, I have amassed a patient panel of 659 patients. 174 of those are 65 or older, with ages ranging from 2 months to 100 years. So I got a very broad range of Buchanan as well as non-Buchanan patients. The clinic is running beautifully. We have a wonderful staff, 4 great providers. We're all open to taking new patients. And it's going really well. I enjoy being here.
Does anyone have some questions? Are you open to taking a few questions?
Yeah, I'm totally open to taking questions.
One of the things I think we would be interested in hearing is, since you're broadening your patient span here, do you see that there's something we could be doing as a community to ensure better health for the town, or?
Just like nationwide, there is a huge obesity problem. Worldwide, more people are dying from obesity-related illnesses than from malnutrition, which is pretty considerable part of our country. Obesity-related illnesses like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and all of these things can be preventable. I am even working on certification in fitness and nutrition and lifestyle modifications. So lifestyle is huge. I love that we have the trail, and my staff and I, we take walks on lunch on the McCoy Creek Trail almost every day. I love the little fitness things along it. That's a wonderful thing that we're doing in this community. Healthier food options would be great, but that's harder to do. I think that's the biggest area that we can make the biggest impact. in
Does
health.
anyone have a question about? Okay. Well, I wanted to bring you here to introduce you to the community, since I know you've been busy for a whole year, and we are lucky to have you because you are our only, main provider in that clinic. So we appreciate all the work you're doing for the city, and do you have any comments about this triple E situation?
Oh,
that
goodness. Yeah, there has just been the 8th confirmed case. That case is out of Calhoun County. We have had 2 cases diagnosed at Lakeland. And as far as the last I heard, one person was still in the ICU at Lakeland and one person was transferred up to Spectrum. I don't know for sure, but I did hear that person passed. It's very serious. 1/3 of patients who contract it will die, and the other 2/3 end up left with some major neurological deficits. So prevention is key because we don't have a treatment for it. So wearing appropriate clothing, long sleeves, long pants when out late at night, bug spray is going to be very important because prevention is the key.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you for joining us, and we appreciate everything you're doing.
Anytime.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now to unfinished business. Consider rescinding the August 12th, 2019 decision to locate the new DPW building at 111 Railroad Street, also known as the old feed milk. Okay. Bill, did you want to
Your
talk
Honor,
to that?
Commissioners, we were asked to put this discussion on the agenda for tonight. There was some clear conversation that there was a second thought about that property being the future home for the DPW building, and so we put it back on the agenda for your further discussion and consideration.
Okay. Does anyone have something to say or want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to consider rescinding the August 12, 2019 decision to locate the DPW building at 111 Railroad Street, also known as the old feed mill.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion on it? If not, let's have a roll call.
Moore,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Turney,
No.
Whedon,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, and let's look at the second item. Consider going out for bids to obtain engineering and construction costs for building on the current location of the DPW building located at 606 Clark Street.
Mayor and Commissioners, in consideration of building the DPW building at its present location, on or about its present location, the information that's going to be needed may take a an engineer and a possible hydrologist to make that determination of what it's going to take to build within that location, which is a floodplain area. Not to say that it can't be done. I think it will need a lot more information to determine what's possible there, and that information is going to have to come from an engineering firm or a hydrologist to determine. So that's what item B is about, is to give us permission to begin a search for, or create an RFP to go out for us to locate a firm that will, correctly answer what the hurdles will be for that property and the cost of considering to build on that property.
Okay, does anyone have any comments or questions, or want to make a motion?
When we had discussed it earlier, I know we had talked about, one of the things that could take place with doing this is having the floodplain re-examined now that we've
Yes.
done things to the creek, and it may not actually be the same flood zone that it used to be. Can that be included in part of this?
Yeah, that is correct. Since we removed the dam at the Duck Pond area, there's a belief that our footprint for our floodplain has reduced. And we've been trying to work with FEMA to get on their list of communities that they come in and kind of do this for us. But that, I'm afraid, has been kind of a hard list to get on, at least for them to appear. I know years ago, we had a cost of about $30,000 to do this study. The study would be very beneficial to property owners, and especially the ones that would now be out of the floodplain, and they wouldn't be paying the insurance requirements of a floodplain. So there's some benefit there. I can look at that as well to see what we can incorporate into the RFP. If out of this inquiry about that property, what it would take to do the survey of the floodplain at the same time to draw a new map. So we could do a couple of things with that search.
Something I had thought about, and you probably didn't bring the drawing you had.
I didn't.
Since the buildings in the back are in disrepair too, if there is still a floodplain issue, is there a possibility of putting it up above where the other two buildings are?
Yep.
I think there's a little bit of room up there, and then we'd be removing dirt up there rather than bringing it in.
Yeah, and that was part of the conversation as well. I think when we look at the site with the engineer and the hydrologist, we can look at that location up above, and where our present salt building is, there's a potential there to maybe build on, and so that's what we would be talking about in our conversation with the engineer.
Okay, does anyone have any other comments or questions for the city manager? And if not, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to consider going out for bids to obtain the engineering and construction costs for building on the current location of the DPW building located at 606 Clark Street.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Any further questions on the motion? Seeing none. Can we have roll call, please?
Downey?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Turney?
Yes.
Whedon?
Yes.
Dennison?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, very good. All right, item C, review and consider quotes submitted for maintenance and full cleaning of the water well, number 4A.
Mayor and Commissioners, we went out to seek additional bids for the full cleaning of well number 4A in our well system, and we were able to get a second bid for that cleaning. Your first bid was from Peerless Midwest. It's a company we've had a a long relationship with. Their description of the work that they were going to do was enhanced in our second request for a bid from them. They better defined the work that they were going to do, but the price did not change. Their price being $13,500 for that cleaning. We were able to find a company out of Wakarusa, Indiana, Northern Pump Company, and in checking their references, they do work, I think it's far north, like the Mishawaka area, and then they kind of go to central or northern central Indiana. They do a lot of work that way. So they, and their description appeared to be fairly apple to apple work. They weren't as clear and detailed as Peerless, but we think the work appeared to be apple to apple after talking with Craig on this issue. Now, their bid came in at $8,500 to do the work, so a significant savings over Peerless. So that's the information you have to discuss and select from.
Are there questions about the two bids?
The only thing I got, Your Honor, is as long as it's pretty close to what we had with Peerless, that it's apples to apples, it does make sense to go with the cheaper bid.
I'll agree with Dale on that. Is there a possibility that we can get something from North American Pump contingent? I mean, the lower cost is absolutely logical, but
A more
contingent upon,
breakdown?
yeah, I'd like to,
Yeah.
I'd like to see something similar to just solidify that we're getting the same quality of work, or workmanship, I should say, out of North America.
Their description was a little different in the way they presented it, but again, Craig and I sat and we went down the list, and there were a lot of similarities, but we can, and we can send, I can send a question to them, basically using the Peerless's description to see if they, if it was clearly meant that you will be doing this, we could do that. Again, the urgency isn't there. We would like to get it approved and cleaned before this year's end, because that was a recommendation once we had the well chlorinated last year, that we, within the next 12 months or so, that we do a full cleaning of that well. So I can go back and contact Northern Pump and see if they'll.
Do you want to make your motion contingent on, similarities
Yeah,
or
I
something
do.
like that? Okay.
Yeah, and then, but I also want to ask you a question. Did Craig, by any chance, or yourself, happen to speak? I see that they did 10 years with Elkhart, and they've done some work for LaGrange and Sturgis as well. Did he any chance speak to any of them to find out the work?
I know
they
that
do?
he called around to find an alternative company, and I would have to check with him before verifying that he did speak to these others, but I know he called around, and that's how he found the Northern Pump Company. So he probably had some positive references, but I'll check with him and provide that in the briefing to you.
Okay. Well, I will make a motion to review and consider quotes submitted for maintenance for the full cleaning of water well number 4A contingent, yeah,
You have to,
or,
you actually show who you're going to
oh, my apologies.
award the bid to.
So, sorry. Review and consider North American Pump Company contingent upon further information supplied to the commission and the city manager detailing exactly the processes that they will follow and utilize during the well cleaning. But at that time, I believe if we're supplied with the information, I'm not concerned with.
Okay.
I
There
would
you-
support.
Okay, so we have a motion and
know that wasn't
support.
clear. I mean, I
Did
know,
you,
sorry.
did you get it? Okay. all
I know
right.
that was completely.
No, that
over
was
my-
fine.
You're
that
pretty
was
good.
fine.
Apparently, I need some well cleaning over here.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine. You're all good. Any other questions on the motion? If not, can we have a roll call, please?
Dennison,
Yes.
No, you did
Whedon?
fine.
Moore,
Yes?
Downey,
Yes.
Attorney,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, very good. Okay. Under new business, consider the creation of an ad hoc committee to review with the intent to revise the current DDA TIF plan and to explore options for restructuring the current DDA for the purpose of increasing functionality and improving relations with the city. So
Mayor,
Joe-
Commissioners, there was a conversation that and merit in the fact that if we establish an ad hoc committee from the commission to look at the present relationship between the city and the DDA, that would be beneficial to the commission, to the other commissioners. And so that's one of the reasons why this appears on the agenda tonight. I think there's two commissioners that would be good to have on the ad hoc committee. Again, I suggest that the committee stay fairly small so it can be very progressive in its review. There's a lot of information out there that they could reach out to compare our situation with and try to come up with a model that would help progress our relationship with the DDA. So that's why this item appears on the agenda.
Okay, does anyone want to ask a question or like to make the motion?
To make a comment? So the ad hoc committee was my idea. I don't, I'm not happy about the way the city and the DDA relationship is playing out in the papers. It's bad advertising for town. It's embarrassing, and it needs to end. My hope is that Mark and I can be the commissioner representatives on the committee. I think Mark and I have proven that we're fairly neutral. We don't sit on the DDA board. And my hope is to find other people in town who don't have an axe to grind, who are respected. I know Jerry Flenner has said that he would participate if we asked him to. I've spoken to a couple other individuals I'm waiting to hear back from. But my goal is to figure out how to make it work. I'm tired of hearing about the past, and I really just want to look towards the future. And if we can figure out a way to redirect where the DDA is going and how the city and DDA can work together to do that, I think it'll benefit all of us. So that's my hope.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to create an ad hoc committee to review with the intent to revise the current DDA TIF plan and to explore options for restructuring the current DDA for the purpose of increasing functionality and improving relations with the city.
And is there a second?
I will second.
Okay. Is there any more discussion about that?
I think your selection of Jerry Flenner is an outstanding one, so I hope he decides to join your committee.
Very good. Anyone else want to make a comment? Yes?
And just for the public's information and for the individuals here tonight, I don't think that we can stress it enough. I don't think that anybody was at all surprised at the discussions that were had at the beginning of the meeting from the public and not coming from a DDA perspective. And it's pretty evident that we need to have ad hocs to find common ground between the two parties that is pretty obvious that we can't find currently. So I'm interested to hear from multiple people throughout the city. I'm interested to hear Sean's perspective and Jerry Flenner, as you stated. I truly hope that he's interested in doing so, because I think we have opportunities as much as Dan wants to be part of this. I think that it's going to give us an opportunity outside of the people who've had current connections with DDA, with the city commission, and find some new, fresh ideas, right? It's that old adage, it's not one of us is as smart as all of us. And I think we're excluding opportunities and ideas because of the current dissension between the two parties.
Okay, so you supported?
I did.
Okay. Is there anyone else wanting to make a comment? If not, we'll do roll call, please.
Whedon,
Yes.
Turney,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Downey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Now we're on public comments. Citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss any non-agenda item. On non-agenda item.
I understand that.
Okay, yes, you may.
Madam Mayor,
I don't want to put my
Yes.
excuse me,
Pink, just a minute.
I'm not sure that that motion included the appointment of members to the ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
Right, it
And
was,
I don't know if you were going to do that this evening.
I didn't think we were going to do that
My
this evening,
apologies.
so,
I'm sorry.
okay, that's fine.
Let's stand over here because I want to talk to these people and I want my back to you guys, okay? Sorry. I want to invite all of you guys-
Excuse me, we need you to, this is a public meeting and this is on recording.
Yeah.
So
I think
please use
for
the
peop- For the
microphone.
people at
I
home, we,
talked loud
yeah,
enough.
okay, I know,
Okay, is this better?
yeah.
I
If
would
that's
like
how
to
you
invite
choose it.
All of you guys, any city residents you know, to start coming to the DDA meetings. Second Wednesday of the month, October and November, they'll both be at 5:30. You guys are allowed to talk, you get to listen, you get to see what we do, you know, what the DDA's purpose is in the city. So I'd appreciate it if you guys would all come and bring people. Because the tax dollars that come in the DDA is to fix the downtown. If the DDA gets dissolved, that tax dollars go to the city, and I guarantee they're not gonna fix up a building downtown. They've never done it, they're not gonna start tomorrow. So please, get everybody informed and have them come. Thank you.
Anyone else want to come forward? Norma and then Larry.
Norma Ferris in Buchanan. I would like to know what your responsibility is to the Ross Sanders, since it is city property. There is a business there with poison ivy on a window that needs to be removed. I cannot do it because the shrubs in front of that window are dead. Can I remove them and take the poison ivy down since it's city property? I would say you are supposed to.
Thank you for calling that to our attention, and I'm sure the city manager will take care of that. So anyone else? Larry? Thank you.
Larry Money, 601 Terracoop, City of Buchanan. My question is probably directed towards Mr. Marks. A few days back, we were working at the cemetery around the night chapel, and we've noticed that the tile roof on the night chapel is starting to deteriorate. There's tiles missing, there's tiles laying on the ground, and before that building becomes any more, a problem with any kind of water damage or anything else, we need to have that looked at because, we use that for funerals and those kind of things. So I was just asking to see if we could look into that and see about getting that fixed. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Larry.
Anyone else for public comments?
Randall Peart again. I'd like to ask with a very loud voice, when are the microphone system going to be fixed? Doesn't sound like it is. Is it very difficult to fix a microphone system, loudspeaker?
Well, we,
Should ask you guys. I mean, but it is, it's on.
It is on, it is working.
Hello? Doesn't sound very good, okay. It didn't help us hear what you were saying, you guys. The other question is, a few months ago, you voted for, I think it was 8,000 or so to rejoin or pay your commitments to the Niles Chamber of Commerce. I think it's also called Southwest Michigan something or other. And we haven't had any reports at meetings from anybody going to it or hearing from them or anything. I was wondering what we got from our money, and also if anybody went to meetings, were they trying to pump information from Buchanan to speed up the Niles recreational marijuana business. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wanting to come forward? Just non-agenda item?
Hi, I'm Dan Bianski again, 103 North Detroit, Buchanan, Michigan. This might be agenda item, but it's extremely important.
If it's an agenda item, it's not in order.
It's a $100 fee.
It's got to be passed on to the,
That has to go to the clerk.
task go to the clerk.
If the, okay, anyone else before we move to city manager comments? Okay.
Mayor, I'm really with the closed session tonight. I don't have any comments tonight.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Dennison?
I just wanted to try and answer some of the questions that were brought up tonight. I know this, Randall just asked about the Southwest Michigan Economic Development in Niles. I think we're supposed to have a report in October, correct?
Yes.
So that's coming up soon, Randall. It's next month is when we decide whether or not we're going to reinvest. You know, the other thing, as I keep driving through town, touching on something that was brought up, the Ross Sanders house does look really bad. And I don't know what the holdup is for getting it painted or repaired, but we need to light a fire under that project before the building dilapidates any further. Just quickly, the other thing, I don't believe our town is a slum, so I kind of take offense to that being said tonight. I think there's a lot going on that's good in our city, and I'm proud of what's going on in our city. Someone did read the mission of the DDA tonight, and in one scope, I think he's correct. I think the DDA's mission is too broad, and I think it needs to be scaled down, and it needs to be specific. And that's what I'm hoping to do. And lastly, I was at the Planning Commission on Tuesday night, and I would agree that it was an embarrassment. It was not run well. People didn't know how to go about appointing people. They didn't know how to go about, they didn't know the process. They didn't know what their responsibilities were. It's my belief that we're here to accept people who are brought to us from the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission is to use what they know about building and planning and zoning to make the best judgment for the best people to be brought to us to approve. We can't approve people who aren't brought to us, and at least that's what I think I know. But it was rather embarrassing that a gentleman was in town to talk about his business and ask about coming to town, and he had to witness a meeting that wasn't run very well. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Downey?
No comments tonight.
Okay. Commissioner Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple things, because I'm on a couple other committees. First off, on the landfill, Mark, could you pass this to the clerk there? Because there's a recycling day coming up in October, and those are the information on the recycling day. As far as what's going on over at the landfill. At our last general meeting, Tyler, who is the general manager of the landfill, basically said they've had a very good couple months. And unfortunately, the CD that they have is becoming mature, but they have to negotiate to go into another CD, and those rates will be low, but that's the way they have to do it, just like the city has to. They have to invest in CDs. The other thing, let's see, check registers, they approved for advanced irrigation, overhead door, asphalt, and They included Tim Gordon. He's now a board member of the landfill. As far as the general manager's comments, the new cameras are installed. Siding and window upgrades have been completed for the operation buildings. The operations committee is discussing the purchase of a new lawnmower, which was passed, so that's going to be $19,000. They're still talking about the final drive. There's a motor that's going out, and they're putting it out for bid. They don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. It could go any as low as $2,000, but as high as $35,000, so they're waiting to see until they get that bid back. One big thing on the recycling, the landfill is not taking any styrofoam anymore, at least for the moment. They're working on it. There might be one other business in Michigan that might take it, but right now, don't bring your styrofoam because they'll reject it, okay? I think that's all as far as the landfill is concerned, because they did put a quote out for the lawnmower. And I told you about the bid for the repair of the motor. The other thing is the Planning Commission, was a long meeting in the Planning Commission. Dave Murray from Redbud Roots was there, and we approved his site plan for a fourth building. So I asked him how many employees does he currently have, and it's 53. And with the fourth building, he's going to hire 20 more. So then I sent out the emails to all the business owners that night, okay, thanking them for their communication and being here and putting their support, including the gentleman who came from the UP. I have not heard back from him yet, but I'll put up a follow-up email on that. Dave Murray did get back to me, and Redbud Roots is planning on buying a fifth building over on Post Road, and they're going to present that at the next Planning Commission building. So with the fifth building, there's probably going to be more employees. I want to thank Cameron, because he has his plan was approved over at his site plan for the deck in the back. So that's an improvement for Buchanan. Also, I'm trying to remember their name here, the well people over on 501 River Street. They're going to be building a new facility. Their site plan was also approved, so again, that's another good thing for Buchanan. And then Ed Gavrin, who's part of the Seven Engines, the party who built the new building over here on River Street, he's going to build an extension onto the drive-through bank there for, I believe it's going to be, I think it's a dispensary. So we approved that also. And we also, we brought Cindy on. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the other person on. And Alan, I still support you. I'm sorry that you took your application out. I just want to let you know that I supported you. I put the motion through, but it didn't pass. But if you want to reconsider you, I definitely would still support you. So I just wanted you to know, I'm very sorry that that happened, and I tried to explain, it works occasionally apparently, I try to explain to some of the board members how the policy works as far as the getting people on the committee, but I don't think that everyone's understood. Well, it took a while, but it finally got to sort it out. One last note, I want to thank Jeremy Frame. He's doing an outstanding job on his building, his sidewalks. It looks fantastic. It's really enhancing the city of Buchanan. So with that, Your Honor, I'm done.
Okay, very good, thank you. And Commissioner Whedon?
I was at the Planning Commission meeting as well. Very long meeting, as Dale had stated. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they definitely accomplished quite a bit that evening. I was quite surprised at the manner to which they handled the applications that came in and putting somebody on the spot who is extremely qualified, well beyond most of our resumes, and the lack of consideration for that individual in that very moment was quite disheartening. I think there was an ample opportunity for that situation to be tabled and revisited at a time that all members of that planning commission could duly review that and give their consideration beyond the moment that they were given. I don't think it was respectful to themselves or to the individuals in the room. I think this is the same way that we handle things here. If we don't have enough time or information to make a decisive decision at that moment, then we table it. And they could have done it that evening as well. That's it. I mean, really, everything else has been talked about. I don't really need to beat a dead horse, so.
Okay, very good, thank you. And my only comments are to announce that the inaugural Friends of the Ducks group is planning to meet tomorrow at 6 o'clock, right in this room. So if you like the Ducks, you want to help shape the city policies about the Ducks, please come. And I'm sure we are going to hammer out our own bylaws and work towards being recognized by the Buchanan Area Rec Board. So that's all I have, and thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm going to entertain a motion to move into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268H to consider material exempt from disclosure to receive attorney's opinion regarding the DDA.
I'm going to make that motion to move into closed session.
Is there support? Support. Can we have roll call, please?
Turney,
Yes.
Downey,
Yes.
Whedon,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes. We are now in closed session. Thank you for attending.
Yeah, I don't have it at the moment, but I can get them for you. Yep, I have to go into this meeting with them, but Mandy? Shannon. S-C-H. A-N-I-C-K. And my email address is a.shannick@cityofbuchanan.com. Yep. Yes, sir. Thanks. You're welcome.
just me. Joe did the other night.
Yeah. And then it just starts shrinking on me, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I must never see you. You're just gonna have to flag me down. But I will be there tomorrow. If you show up when I'm down here, tell Diana to call me on the radio, and I'll come up. Nope. I'll get him. You come see me tomorrow. All right, you have a good night. All right. She was complaining, she's like, why are you so fake? I said, I work. Can't look like that? There's the person. Move around a lot. There's the person who works, and then there's the fake ones. Hey. Have you typed in? Yeah, okay. That's what you had when you came in. No. Look at all that. Oh, yeah. I was gonna tell you, I'll try to get my reports done, but they might not be closed, but they'll be tight. You think if I give Brian a test tomorrow, he can get it done for me? Brian, yeah. She's, since I took that CSC test. That was my fault, that's on me. I can't blame Brian for that, because like I said, I took it, when I found it on there, I took it, I read it, and I said, this guy's not even, I only read that first part of it. I tried to find out who he was, and by the time I read the second part, it was like 2:30. So that's not on Brian, that's on me. You gotta investigate. So we wondered, because I thought, I figured it was Sherry Marshall that was the one who was her boyfriend causing the disturbance. Oh, okay, that's. We went down Moravia, here's Oscar, riding his bike. She's like, hey Oscar, I said, hey Oscar. And then somewhere in the recesses of my brain, I was like, I was thinking he doesn't work, because Mike always mentions out loud or something like that. So I was like, I'm pretty sure he does, so. Oh, yeah. I didn't know. Neither did Bennett, he goes, I would have. I saw him the other day, he's like, I would have seen him last 2 years. I think I saw him a couple of weeks ago, I don't know. He's on probation and he's. So he's probably. Is that staying over at Williams or? He's not supposed to have contact with Sherry or anything, but Sherry wasn't home, so. Well, he was in that area. Well, he'll get violated on probation. What's the more important probation violation? Well, it's for, prevention warrants for out of probation. All right, you have a good evening. It wasn't for like a failure to appear, but it was a bench warrant. That was our original charge. What's up, young lady?
I hate controversy. I like peace.
So do I.
I like preschool behavior. When they're upset, they tell you, and then it's over.
Yeah.
They don't hold on
Why
to
couldn't everyone be like preschoolers? They tell you, it's over. Well, we hope that doesn't go on. Yeah, we don't want to change it.
No, but, oh my goodness, I hate controversy, and it seems like things are getting out of hand.
I know, we've got some if he can do like reports and stuff, then we can do that.
I would have bet against it.
That's some dedication. You sat here and waited for us.
Well, you're talking about the length of your planning commission meeting. Was that done at 10:30?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
It's a long meeting.
They're getting close.
You're getting your rivalry here. Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready. We're just going to close it. so.
Yeah, we're just
Are you
closing.
okay?
We got to return, right?
Do you need me to wait?
Nope, we're good.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting back into order, and we are now back in open session. No action is anticipated in response to the closed session, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there support? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. The meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Those mics are interesting. They do go in and out.
Yeah, there's,
Those mics.
didn't we get a quote for a new PA system, or no?
Yeah.
Oh, we better shut these all off, too.
Hello, Mandy, has Brandon come up with a quote? We have asked him a couple times.
Here, Bill, you can find a good spot to...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
How do you get lucky enough to keep getting these long meetings?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll stick if you want. I'll stick, but I'd rather.